Welcome to Moss Marketing Mondays, aka the M3 Podcast. Brought to you by Moss Marketing Group, bringing you everything marketing every Monday. Stay tuned for marketing tips and tricks you can use today. The M3 Podcast, marketing knowledge to help you succeed. Let's get started.
Welcome back to the M3 Podcast. This week we have Logan on, Lauren on from the MMG squad, and our guest Lexi. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
She was really talkative before. The camera's going to slow her down a little bit, but the crazy thing is she does that all the time. So you are a social media influencer. And what is your social media platform of choice, and what is it that your name and everything that you run under?
Yeah, so my handle that I use for everything is the bop around, specifically the bop around. Try and keep it the same. I started on TikTok and it kind of just blew up from there. And then finally my mom told me that she had a bunch of friends that weren't on TikTok and I probably need to pull it over to Instagram as well. So then about, I think it was like 5 months after the TikTok took off that I was like, okay, fine, I'll go over to Instagram. And so now I've got both rolling. I have YouTube here and there, trying to get that up a little bit more. And then all the new platforms that decide to keep coming out. We got Threads and Lemonade.
Yes.
So it's going with it all.
It's good.
So let's start with I always get beef from everyone around that I don't do enough backstory on someone. So let's start the whole story. Where did you go to school? Everything like that. What led you to where you're at now?
So I grew up in the Kansas City area. I grew up in like the Liberty area. I always say my address was Kansas City, but I went to Liberty schools. So I've seen Kansas City from not long ago. I'm only 26, but
way back in the day when the stockyards were downtown, the prime of Kansas City.
So I've seen it years back, and then I went to Mizzou. So not too far enough to where my parents couldn't visit me that often, but still close to home. And then came back here, and I was ready to kind of like experience KC as like a grown up, where you could actually go out and do things and all that. So, and then COVID hit, and that was kind of the time when it was about a little bit after I graduated. So I guess COVID hit 2020, graduated in 2019. And that's when I was starting going to events. And obviously there's no events in COVID times. So didn't have a job and just kind of that's when I was like, TikTok hit. So scrolling, learning about that. And as the world started opening up, I was like, well, you know what? I'm just kind of going to document life and what's happening. We went on vacations for the first time. So I was like, I'm just going to record. And honestly, I told nobody about it. One of my big videos that I first had was when I went to Nashville with one of my friends. And I posted it. It was like, I themed it like a pink day in Nashville because everywhere we went was pink. Mm-hmm. And I got a text from her about a day after the video went viral. And she's like, do you have like a secret TikTok? Because my sister just said I was in this viral TikTok and I think it's yours because we're in Nashville. And I'm like, yeah, I guess I do. I guess I should probably. I didn't tell you. I didn't think anyone would see it. Turns out if you don't put that on private, it goes places. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Were you always pretty active on social media, or was it something new to you?
I guess I was active in terms of like a college student on Instagram and Snapchat, where you're like, here's my night out, where you're really just trying to let everyone know where you're at when and what the hotspot is for the night. Posting pictures from the last social, but not like super crazy. When TikTok first came out, I was like, I'm not doing that. That's for the teens, the TikTok teens.
I held out for a long time before I downloaded the app, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, I was right out the gate when everyone's like, TikTok's stupid. I was like, you know what? It's pretty entertaining. I was like, it's like a whole different vibe from every other social platform.
I do feel like our generation, though, like we had Vine. And so when TikTok,
R.I.P. Vine.
know.
So good.
Yeah.
like we did get a little snippet of Vine with TikTok. So that was like the funny videos is what like drew me to TikTok. But when you started your TikTok, did you automatically call it like the bop around, or was it just something else? And then once it took off, you're like, I need to actually like brand this.
No, I actually did name it the Bop Around right away. So I had my own TikTok that I was kind of messing around with. And then I was like, you know what? It'd be kind of fun to actually do something. Again, didn't tell anybody because I really didn't think anything of it was going to like happen. And I was kind of shy about it. I think I told my mom that I was like, no, it'd be so smart. Like something called the Bop Around. Because what am I doing with my friends all the time? We're just bopping around place to place. Like my friends would tell me, they're like, my parents would be like, what are you doing? I'm like, I don't know. Caitlin and I are just going to go bop around, figure out life. We'll just do whatever comes our way. And she's like, okay. So then I was like, I like said something about it and I was like, I'm just going to name it that. And I'm like, if people think it's stupid, they think it's stupid.
Oh, man.
Well, I feel like you just burned Logan's only question that he had. So
Covered it. Where'd the name come from?
yeah.
That's funny. Okay, so when you go to all these places in Kansas City, anything at the top of your head like stick out to like a hole in the wall, like place that you never knew about and it like resonates with you and you're like, people need to know about this place, like a hidden gem or anything?
Like my favorite things are just like the experiences, like whether it's a show or a game. Or one of my favorite first things that I did was Lonnie's jazz club.
Jazz bar. Yes.
Yes.
He plays the saxophone.
Yes.
He is Lonnie McFadden.
Yes.
He is so good. Ricky and I went to a show one night when we ran the gym. There was a guy that was like, you guys need to go see Lonnie McFadden. And I was like, who? And he's like, he's this famous saxophone player. He's from Kansas City. And I was like, I'm not going to a saxophone concert, whatever it was. We went and it was amazing.
It was so cool because like you came down, they had champagne that was like, or a champagne cocktail that was supposed to represent like back in the 20s, just to give you this whole feel. And that one was one of my favorites because I just didn't know it was there because it's underneath one of the hotels. Of course, I'm going to blank on the hotel. But if I remember, I'll just
just spit it out.
The Ambassador. There we go.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yes.
Look at Ricky coming from the peanut gallery with the answers. Love it.
So that was really cool. And then also one of my favorites that I ever did was Whiskey Dynamite because I had no idea what we were getting into. So it's quixotic, like acrobatic performance, like dance performance and cabaret show. It was like an unexpected cabaret show with a twist is what it was called. And it was just like horses, neon cowboys.
Okay, I'm going to be honest. Yeah, I don't know what that
when you said whiskey,
zero
I was
idea
pretty intrigued. And then as you went on, I feel like I got a little bit more unintrigued.
It was, so we had no idea. We are like wandering around Crown Center. Like they're like, it's inside Crown Center. We're like, who's going to Crown Center? So we walk in and we're like dressed up, ready to party. And they're like, no, you have to go up this escalator in like the back corner. We get up there and it's like a neon carnival. They have a like neon saloon. So everyone's grabbing drinks. It's like this tiny little stage where everyone's basically like right there with the performers. One of the performers was actually who reached out to me and she's like, I'll have tickets for you at will call. So I grab it. We are like up front with the table. There's like a bartender coming around. They have bubbles and.
Is this going all the time or is it like a pop-up deal?
This was, I think they started with only showing it for a month and then it was so popular they did 3 months, but the like company is around and they do pop-up shows and they just theme it differently. But I think they said they're gonna bring this one back because it was so popular.
Like where's it at in Crown Center?
I think it's called the Grand Theater. Yeah, it's called the Grand Theater. Had no idea it was a thing until they invited me.
I am always confused why people go to Crown Center. Like,
because initials there.
Because
the shoe store.
The shoe store.
Like there's
the train restaurant.
Oh, yeah.
Fritz's.
Fritz's.
I'm going to say that place, once again, I'm a sucker for a good experience. But I feel like the foods went kind of downhill.
Yeah,
I
like
agree.
Crayola
It was
Cafe
much
shut
better when I
down.
was a kid.
When I was a kid, that place was legit. I think I just liked the train a little bit more at that point. But now it's like you get it and you're like,
Not.
food's not that great.
All of that, Science City, all that stuff was so cool as a kid because
Yeah.
my dad worked for Hallmark. So we would always go down there and have lunch with him and do all that stuff down there.
Mhm.
But
Now Logan's just too tall for science.
yeah,
They
no,
said-
they wouldn't let me in last time. I went. What the hell?
Sir, you're a little too tall for this. This is a kid's exhibit.
Oh my gosh.
So in social media influencing, you have a certain line of stuff that you kind of go after, correct?
Yeah, I feel like it's grown more so as the brand's grown and people have kind of gotten to know me as well. So I'd say it definitely started out like being just like Kansas City, mostly restaurants and bars, I would say was like the top thing. And then I was like, I cannot eat and drink every single day of my life as much as I would like
Challenge
to.
accepted.
It just got to the point that was like crazy. And then I started getting invited to like kind of more of like, can you show off our event that we're doing? And I was doing events and I was like, I like going to these and like the experiences where I've done like, oh, can you come to a sporting game? I just did a sporting game and was really fun. And then I started doing kind of more even lifestyle stuff where people are like, so like, what do you do when you're not bopping around? Like, what's your
I'm
actual
always
life?
bopping around.
So it's kind of been from like, oh, bopping around Kansas City, bopping around travel wise, because I'll show off my trips to like, I'm just bopping through life, figuring it out because no one really knows what they're doing.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough.
Was there a point early on to where, like, so you started it, you said you were a little shy with it, you didn't really care if anyone watched it or whatever. Was there a point to where you're like, oh shit, like people like this? What was that like?
That was so when people say that there are videos that will take off overnight and like blow someone up overnight, like this was literally overnight. I went to bed. I remember posting probably about 8:30, 9 o'clock. And it was a video that was just what I did in Kansas City one weekend. And it was like 3 things all back to back because people like to get as much information as they can in a short amount of time. And I think at that point I had around 3,000-ish followers. I woke up that morning to about 12,000 followers like the next morning. I was like,
Was this on TikTok?
yeah.
Yeah.
And it was crazy. And I was like, I don't believe it. I don't believe that this actually got out to people. My dad saw it and texted me. He's like, should we be concerned for your safety?
Oh man.
And so I think that was the point that I was like, okay. And within that week, that's when I started having people that I knew but wasn't close to that didn't know about the account were reaching out and be like, is this you? Like, this is like, I was sitting there at my desk and one of my coworkers came over with his phone and he's like, you didn't tell me you were a famous TikToker. And I'm like, no one was, I didn't think people saw
You
me.
should have done just like Marshmallow.
Yeah.
Like just blown
wear
it
a
up
mask.
and been anonymous for like ever. One day, just like famous TikToker, like you're whipping around. People are like, is she making that much more than me at this job? Like, how is this happening? I sit there and think about that with Marshmallow all the time. Like,
Yeah.
that dude's probably rolling up and like nobody really knows who he is. Like, who is like,
That's crazy.
dude's like, do what? Oh, I guess he came out, might be.
He did.
But-
He showed his face. I didn't know.
But like, think about some like young dude that I'm assuming he's probably like in his 30s or 20s, possibly. He rolls up in like new Rolls Royce, like $500,000 car, and you're like, "Who is this guy?" And he's like, "Yeah, what's up?" Like, and no one even recognizes who he is. You're like,
That's the move for
Yeah.
sure.
Hannah
Yeah.
Montana moment.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so as you've gotten bigger, I know we talked about this a little bit when we were eating dinner, but for the podcast, when you're out in public, like, are you getting recognized as the bop around girl? Like, are you having companies reach out to you that you're like, I never would have dreamed that this company was reaching out to me?
Yeah, I think it's weird when I'm walking down the street and I feel like I kind of zone it out sometimes, but when I'm with friends or family, they're like, you do know those people are staring at you. And I'm like, I don't know, but I'll get stopped by people and they're like, are you the bop round? And I'm like, yes. And they're like, I follow you. And I'm like, I don't know how to respond. I'm like, thank you.
Thanks.
Hope you enjoy. Have a great night. But yeah, more people I kind of are starting to pick up like my name because I'm trying to throw that out a little bit more, like reintroducing myself because I'm like, I'm the Bob Brown, but I do have a name. And that's kind of also in companies when they reach out, I'll kind of know if they've gone through my profile.
That's
if
true.
they use my actual name or if they just use the Bob Brown.
Was your face on it from the beginning or was, Yeah,
I thought about it, trying to hide it. And then I just figured, put it all out there.
Yeah.
I definitely think social media with a personality wins more often than not. That social media with no personality to it, and we have this discussion with companies all the time, people watch things that have a person involved. You haven't watched a movie in, I think, any point in your life. You're like, oh my God, I just watched that whole movie. There wasn't even a person in it.
Yeah.
There was no people in it. Like, so it's just like when you have a personality to social media, same kind of deal. Somebody wants that person that they'll start trusting someone off of social media. And it's a crazy thing that's happening in our space today.
Yeah.
That you have the trust of someone that you're like, you say to go do that. And they're like, I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
That's always crazy to me when people are like, I saw the TikTok and then I went. And I'm like,
I do that. I have went from, like, I used to go to Google and be like, type in things to do in Kansas City. Instead of doing that now, I go to TikTok and I search like things to do in Kansas City. Yeah. And it's like, there's you find so many, I mean, even your page, I have found some hidden gems and I'm like, oh my gosh, I send it to Madison Smith. I'm like, we got to go here. Like, I didn't even know what this place was, but it looks so fun.
Well, you can always tell too by someone's page. Like you said, you didn't start it like you don't really care if something happens with it. Like it wasn't your goal to get like paid from it or to have companies reach out and be like, hey, come have a free night or whatever. But that stuff happens eventually, but you didn't start it with that intention.
Yeah.
You can tell when someone's just starting it because they're passionate about it and they like doing these type of things rather than they're trying to do it to get paid or to get free stuff.
When it comes to picking where you go, since you are from here in Kansas City, obviously you have visited a lot of places in your lifetime here in Kansas City. Do you have like a running list of, okay, I'm going to go to this place? I mean, I know you said that sometimes you have companies reach out to you for like games and stuff. So obviously those are on your calendar. But like this weekend, you're like, hey, I'm free. Do you already have your weekend planned out or do you just shoot from the hip and go? My
favorite days are just kind of literally bopping around, but I'll have
She's like, oh, that was a good plug there.
And he ruined it.
I just like to
take
dot around.
But I'll have like, I guess I have a list, like the Notes app. Great.
Yep.
I'll keep track of new places that I see are popping up on Instagram. It's nice now that I have a platform because new restaurants or businesses and companies will like follow me and kind of let me know, hey, we're opening. So I'll have a better idea of when and where these places are at. Pop-up bars especially are nice. Yeah. I feel like it's a lot of people are like, how do you find out about that? And it's their Instagrams, and it's a lot to keep track of that many Instagrams. Sure. So that's why I like to consolidate it. But yeah, I do have a list and I kind of have an idea of where I want to go. And for the most part, places that I pick, I do it selfishly. It's places that I like and
want to go to.
My thing is if people are following me and things that I like, then it's things that they'll probably like as well. And that's kind of, if I'm not having fun, people are going to see that I'm not having fun and then it's not going to do well.
So have you ever posted about a negative experience?
I won't post about negative. I will just not post it.
Yeah.
If I don't post it, it means I didn't like it.
Fair enough.
That's fair. That's one thing I've struggled with taco reviews. It's like, I really don't like to be the person that like comes in and like says a place is shitty, but it's also like, you have to be fair on, I'm not going to say, oh yeah, this place is really good. Somebody goes and eats it and like, yeah, not listening to him. It is taco.
Well, I can think of one that you did that with.
No, that's bullshit. You guys were all
Yes.
just.
What was that place called?
It's Taco Villa, and don't you dare badmouth Taco Villa. That place
Have
has
you
been
ever
around
had
since
that?
1969.
Don't go there.
Go, it's not.
Do
It
not
looks
go there.
like a school lunch.
You were talking about having digestive issues from tacos. This will give it to you to the nth degree.
So we all.
I'm really not appreciating the negativity coming from that side of the table.
We did our review, and all of us had negative reviews except for Dana and Dre. And the way we all give our X amount out of 10, and then we get the average. We did not accurately give that average.
They got kicked to the rocks on that one. I said, you know what? You guys are not going to do this to a staple of Kansas City. I was like, I'm not going to allow it on my clock. So we're going to go off Dre's with my review.
Yeah, that's what happened.
Yep.
Oh, man.
Now the world knows that there was one taco review that was rigged.
That's been the only one.
Yeah. Most times it's just
It is
shoot
what
around
it
the
is.
room.
Yeah.
I don't really like putting a negative review out there, but it's also like,
Yeah.
I feel nowadays with social media, like that one person that posts a negative review and it blows up could be the end of a business. Like with stuff that like hypothetically, say you have a bad experience somewhere in Kansas City and you post about it and all your following sees it, like that could have just been a bad day at the restaurant or something. You know what I mean?
Man, you're really making me feel bad for what they did at California Taco Shop now.
that place was rough, bro. Like, I'm just saying, like,
They could have put that place out of business.
there was nobody there to begin with. So I was like,
No.
I should have known when we got there. But it's like, I feel like places that go above and beyond on service, the way that they run a business, things like that, they deserve praise.
Mm-hmm.
They deserve, if they have a great product, they deserve to stand taller than the rest.
Mm-hmm.
And that's in anything. Like, I don't care what line of
Yeah.
business it's in. I think people give this like different standard to the food industry. It's like, oh, they're going to have an off day. Like, yeah, people in all business lines have an off day,
Mhm.
but it's how do you adapt to make sure those off days don't cost you something big?
Mm-hmm.
That somebody should be able to come review your business every single day of the week.
Yeah.
And you should hold a standard as a business owner towards like, I feel bad being that person, but it's also like, kind of brought it on yourself.
I do also feel like there are people that are just negative people in general. Like we deal with it every day at work. Like all of our businesses that we do marketing for, we also get emails every time they get a Google review. And like one of them, we have a car wash company that we do marketing for, and someone left a 1-star review because they, what was it? It was something like they had to vacuum their own car out. And I was like,
Or they didn't get a wet towel.
yes, or something. And I'm like, what? Like, you know that before you even go to the car wash, and then they leave a bad Google review. It's just like absurd stuff. People are so quick to give that negative review, and I know
People love their input.
they do.
I will say with like comments on stuff, you kind of have to decide. You're like, is that worth leaving there, or is it not?
For sure.
Especially when I'm posting. Like people ask me all the time, do you get like negative comments? I'm like, not as much on me personally, but some people like go in there and like rip a business apart that I have a great experience on. And I'm like, when people put in their input, most of the time I want to keep it there for other people to go through and like everyone has a say. But there are some times that I'm like, you're saying something that doesn't even make sense and you're just
right. Like it was
having a bad day. So you decide to take it out.
It was like a
on this.
1 in 100
Yeah.
chance that whatever happened, you happened that day. Like,
So it's like deciding, I'm like, was that an actual opinion or they're just bored and going off on something?
So a lot of times what I do, and this is anybody that's out there, when you see a Google review on someone, you can actually click on their profile and see everyone that they've reviewed.
mm-hmm.
And I dealt with it in the car business where like we worked really, really hard on making people's car buying experience different.
Mm-hmm.
We've done the same thing in the marketing space. And I remember getting a review from a lady that I was like, and it was like a 2-star. I was like, where did I miss this? So I was like the first one, like I wanted to call somebody, see what, like, if we made a mistake somewhere, what can we do to fix it? Like I always wanted to run at that top position, and we call her and she was so rude and hateful. And then that's when I found out. I clicked on her profile. I'm like, she has left 432 1 or 2 stars.
Yeah.
she did not have a 5-star on her profile that she had ever left something, or a 3 or a 4.
She'll never be happy.
But it's just there's people like that in the world that are just absolutely miserable, and they just live for leaving people bad reviews. And it was like, it made it after that. I was like, but I tell people all the time, they're like, well, this person had to say that. I'm like, I had it in the car space where I'd be like, just go click on that profile and you can see everyone else they've reviewed.
Yeah.
I'm like, have you eaten at any of the restaurants here in town? Yeah. Do you like any of them? Oh, yeah, I love this one, this one, this one. Oh, they also hate that place and that other place that you went to and that place.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, that was actually something I didn't even really think about, that you probably do get a lot of, off the wall.
I get some weird stuff too. Like all of people like tell me their life story in the comments and I'm like, I don't know what that had to do with a helicopter ride.
I will say that the weirdest place you'll ever end up in the comments is TikTok. Like,
people are ruthless.
They're ruthless, and I don't know if like people don't understand that like other people can see those comments. Like a lot of times I'm like going through, I'm like clicking on this, I'm like, this is someone's mom. I'm like, they're like, all their videos are with their kids. I'm like, did you just see what you said on that? Like, do you know other people can see that?
Yeah.
Like, and TikTok's like the only place. Like Instagram, I feel like is pretty filtered.
Yeah.
Like you'll get some stuff, but it's like normally from like a body count or somebody that doesn't have a profile picture or something like that. TikTok, somebody will be like, they post every day, like everything that's going on in their life. And then they will just come straight out the gate posting something. And you're like, you thought that was a good idea. Yeah. Like you really, that process in your head and you thought you were going to post that.
Yeah.
But what do you see?
What the fuck?
I think that was Ricky. That was.
It wasn't even dry. Have you seen a big traction difference between TikTok and Instagram?
So from the beginning, when I first was on TikTok, and I would say even when I was like still starting my Instagram, like TikTok was my reliable platform, was like no matter what, it was like views on views on views on views on views. And then I feel like recently, and I've seen a lot of other creators mention it too, TikTok has just become less reliable about putting your videos out. And Instagram has actually been my platform that is pushing my content out. And so it's kind of finding the balance there. And I started kind of going a little more towards Instagram on things. And then I'll post one video on TikTok and all of a sudden that one becomes like the better, like the more reliable platform. But I would say right now it's Instagram. TikTok is just not. And I've talked to a lot of other people that I'm like in the Kansas City influencer space, and they're just also saying the same thing about TikTok.
Yeah.
TikTok, I feel like is very like randomized. That we have majority of the Instagrams that we run. I mean, it is pretty consistent.
Yeah.
Like you really have to throw something way off to like throw it off. But if you're consistently doing it all the time and it's reading when you're doing it, like I feel like it's pretty easy to catch the Instagram algorithm.
Yeah.
TikTok, I feel like so like we post reels from here all the time.
Yeah.
And one day we get on, he's like, yeah, we have a reel or a TikTok that's at 130,000 views from last night. I'm like, great. And it's going like all this stuff from one of our, and then the next one we post is at like 600. It's just like,
so I feel like Instagram was pretty behind the game, because if you think like now it's hard to remember this, but like even during COVID and like a couple of years ago, like Instagram really didn't have reels figured out, and they were still trying to get to that point. And also before COVID, not that many people had hopped on the TikTok game. Like we were talking about, like it was pretty easy, not easy, but it was easier for you to start creating videos and to become more viral on TikTok because it was a platform that not everyone was creating content on. And then that kind of shifted when COVID happened, because we started seeing all these TikTok influencers and everyone's like, okay, I'm going to rush to this. I'm going to do it. So everyone started doing TikTok. And then Instagram gets reels figured out and people are still trying to do TikTok, but Instagram started to catch up and people's attention started to go that way. At least I feel like that's kind of what from my perspective, what I've seen.
I see right now too, and this just maybe what pops up on my feeds, and I know it's different for everyone, but I've noticed that TikTok, they've implemented that quick edit deal. I don't know how long that was on there. Dre just told me about it like 2 or 3 weeks ago. But it's like the same videos you see all the time.
Yes.
Because
the structure is identical.
Because they want videos that were edited. They want you to edit your videos on their platform.
But they don't have that many variations of it that you scroll for 15 minutes. You're seeing the same rotation of all of the videos. And it's the same simple ass trends that I feel on Instagram. You're not getting that.
Yeah.
Like that repetition of, okay, I've watched the same video that was like the same fuzzy edited coming in like 5 times today in the last like 10 minutes. Same music, identical. It was just a different vehicle or it was a different person or whatever it is. And it's like, I feel like TikTok, because they implemented that, took out the actual creator side.
Yeah. It's weird. One thing also about TikTok is I feel like even people that I follow, I'm not seeing their stuff as much. But Instagram, I know I'm going to see the people that I follow. I'm going to see their stuff. And I feel the same way. Like people that follow me aren't always seeing my stuff. I'm like, I have over 20,000 followers, but you're telling me only 600 saw my video.
Yeah.
How does that make sense at all? Like why aren't it going to at least my followers, not even a new audience, but at least my own followers?
Which I'm still very much an OG Facebook person too. But like Facebook has been the biggest probably business driver for everything that we do. And the ad side, targeting side, things like that. It's across all meta platforms, but there is a older generation that has money that's on Facebook. It's traveling into Instagram, and Instagram's growing really quickly. Great way to stay in front of people. Influencer side, huge market, especially when you get into product side, when you're trying to drive people in. Cost per acquisition, when it gets really, really high, a lot of times Facebook, we have seen to be the highest performer for that. And I do think there's going to be a day that kind of shifts a little bit, but I feel like TikTok we run a very high volume of accounts, and TikTok is the only one that like, I don't care how you do it.
Yeah.
You can do it the same way 20 times and it performs astronomically different every single time.
So I feel like from my personal experience, my perspective on this is that TikTok has it kind of figured out, because at least in my mind, I don't feel like a lot of people get on TikTok to see their friends or like what people they know are doing. I feel like most people, at least myself, are getting on TikTok to see like new things and, like certain types of videos. When I get on Instagram, I know that like I'm getting on Instagram to look at what Dane's doing today, what Lauren's doing today, what Lexi's doing today. With TikTok, I have no expectation or really want to see what people I know are doing. I want to see the viral, the random shit, the funny shit,
But I wish they had it more like, I don't know if they're going to implement sometime some sort of location tracking where I'm seeing stuff in Kansas City. Because I see stuff all the time, like things to do in Miami.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't remember the last time I was in Miami. I'm like, and I started following a bunch of stuff like when we went to Vegas on like things to do in Vegas. And there's a lot of, I think, social influencers that have done really well on like those different Vegas tours and all that kind of stuff. So it's like I was watching that stuff, and now it's like I see Vegas stuff and it won't stop like popping up. And it's like trying to show me stuff that I don't think you can really read. That like I even purposely like won't watch those videos. I'm watching other things, but it just keeps trying to push something in front of me that it's Instagram's really quick. I can read the algorithm. If I go to like explore, I know if I go on there and I click like 20 things that I just want to start seeing more of, I know my explore page the next day is going to be groved with that stuff. Like it's pretty quick and like it reads, and I feel like the algorithm like picks up on that. I feel like TikTok, I try to throw it off. I try to like watch all the way through videos that I want to see, like things like that. And it's still I get on the next
work for that TikTok algorithm that you want.
For sure.
Yeah.
You do. I feel like they do a good job though with the length of the videos, because one thing that really annoys me is with TikTok, if I find like a 3 or 4 minute video that I find super interesting, which I think that has its spot for YouTube, but not necessarily for TikTok. But if I catch myself watching a 3-4 minute video, I feel like every video on my feed after that is 3-4 minutes, and it pisses me off, and I'll get off the app.
Yeah, I think all these short form platforms want the YouTube platform, because YouTube pays out better than anyone. Like they are competing now with Netflix, with Amazon, is it Prime Video or whatever?
Yeah, Amazon Video.
Hulu. They're competing in a whole different market. And they hold people on platform more than any other company out there.
Yeah.
To where it's like all these platforms want that in this short form video market. And I think I don't think there's a space for that across all platforms. That when I get in, the only way you're going to hold somebody for that long, like what would you say your average like video length is?
I definitely try to keep under 50 seconds. I don't like to go above 50. If it's a really good spot that I need to put a lot in there, between 40, 45. But if I can go under 40, even better.
Yeah. And that's where I feel like that's like the prime time. And that's also takes a lot of storytelling. Like I watch videos all day, every day at the office that we're editing. We have editors working on stuff all day. And it's funny because from the creative side, somebody will make a video that they don't think is that great. And I watch it and I'm like, that's going to perform really well. And they look at me and they're like, why do you think that performs well? I'm like, that felt really short. Like, and it was 40 seconds. I'm like, I could watch that video 3 or 4 times and it seemed like it was less than 15, 20 seconds. So when you have a video that seems like too short and you're at 40 seconds, those are videos that hit.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times people want to, from their own personal, like they want to try to put as much into it as possible. And they're like, oh, that felt long. And I felt like I got everything into it. But it's like, if it felt long to you, it feels really long to everyone else.
If I can't sit through my own video, then other people can't. I like have to sit there and think to myself, I'm like, what actually can I cut? There's sometimes where I'm like, I'm going to cut that and I'm actually going to move that to the caption. Like I'll be like, oh, there was a drink that I really wanted to share in the video, but I'm like, not going to make it. Let's just move that to the caption. Or they're doing something special on Thursday. Not going to make it in the video. Let's move it to the caption. So, or like, I'll just be like, they wanted me to mention something that's only going to happen once next week. Let's just cut it and be like, sorry, I want this video to be able to last longer than a week.
Yeah.
So do you have that discussion with those people when you're doing that? Because I feel like a lot of time we deal with it all the time where a company has an idea and I'm like, from a marketing perspective, not a good idea. And they're chasing sometimes that very small, they're thinking with like blinders on of this money when realistically that video can run and catch this much money over time. And they don't think about longevity of video.
Yeah.
So do you have that conversation with people?
Yeah. If it's a business or for someone that's like wants me to come in and they're paying me, I'll definitely like talk. I'm like, maybe we don't mention that you only have this drink special in October, because I guarantee I'm still going to have people clicking on that video in December and they're going to be real disappointed when that drink special's not there.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people underestimate the power of video, and we talk about it all the time. And actually something that I am seeing happen on TikTok right now. So I have like multiple different TikToks that like I try different things on all the time. And I just started a new one recently on a new truck that I got. And on that one, the videos from the beginning, they are all going up like daily. Not the most recent, like the recent ones going up, but they are all going up. And it's kind of weird because our other TikTok don't do that. So I'm like, are people landing in and then like going through? There's only like, I think 9 or 10 videos on it so far. But even if I don't post, I get on each day and they're all just increasing slowly. So I don't know what's causing that on that, but on like Instagram, we have it happen all the time that we'll have a reel that we posted 2 months ago hit. I'll get on and it's 100 up in the top. I'm like, okay, what hit? And then I'm like going to click through. I'm like, oh, that was an old ass reel.
Yeah.
But when you look at that power of exposure, when you start posting multiple videos every single day, it's just a matter of time before they start hitting, and you just have to stay consistent with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. With social media influencing, or with your brand, The Bop Around, what challenges do you find, or is there any?
Yeah, I think one of my biggest challenges, and like people that know me personally know, is my biggest thing is like I feel like I have almost imposter syndrome as to what I do.
Yeah.
And so I'll have people reach out to me on things that they want me to do, and I'll be like almost iffy on it because I feel like I can't do it whenever everyone's like, you can do it, like you know what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'll have someone want me to do something and I'm like, they'll want me to like do all this, like this type of this, they want a TikTok here and a carousel here, and they're like, for free lunch. And it's like, I'm like shy about it, but I'm like, that's a lot of marketing that I'm doing for you, and it really should cost, but I'm like shy about it. So it's like I'm finally learning that. That's been my biggest challenge, is just being like, you know what, I am like worth something, and I need to actually probably be more like out there about it and just be like, what I do works. And so I started building more on like, these are the analytics that I have. Mm-hmm. I can do something big for you, and I'm worth, like my time is valuable, and what I can do is valuable. So I feel like that's been my biggest challenge. And then off of that, another challenge is I feel like Kansas City is starting to get there with understanding influencer marketing. Obviously, like LA, Chicago, and New York, they've been doing it. So they know how much it can help. They know that it is truly marketing, and that you do sometimes need to put some dollars behind that. And I feel like Kansas City is still not always there. And other creators that I've talked to in Kansas City have said the same thing and are also kind of dealing with it. Like, I'll have a lot of people that like don't realize I do have a full-time job, and I can't go visit them in the middle of the day, like at 2 p.m. on a Wednesday. But I'm like, but you're not wanting to pay me, but you think I do this full time.
Right.
And so a lot of people want to start doing it full time, but we just really can't hear as much.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a really tough transition for content creators too, because they get into it and they're not thinking about it from a business standpoint, or like, like I want to make money from this standpoint. They might be, but they don't know how to transition that from the, okay, I'll just take free things and show people what I'm doing, to the, okay, here's the analytics. Like the way that you put it was perfect. The way that you should think about it. I feel like not a lot of people make that transition.
But I think right now too, and I talk about it all the time within the marketing space, in the content creator space, is people have made their own bed. It wasn't like this just came out of nowhere. Like, content creators do more free shit around here than anywhere else in the country. Everybody has a camera. There's people that do content that have forever been building a portfolio. Like, forever. I'm like, you've never got paid. You're not a content creator. Like, until you are getting paid, it is not a job. You just have a hobby with a camera. Mm-hmm. And then you wonder why people won't pay for it. It's because you have built that wall to keep you from getting paid, because you continuously do it for free. And then there's more people that are doing that. We've had people come to us and like, well, they said so-and-so will do it for $200. And we hit them at $5,000 a month. And I'm like, well, great. You get what you pay for. Yeah. Go right on ahead. Mm-hmm. And then the exact same people that have done that have then been sitting at our table wanting a job that they can't survive because of what they're doing. I'm like, no shit. They're like, yeah, it's just way too much work, and I've been trying to do it for $200. I'm like, stop doing it. People can't say no, and people just drive themselves to the bottom. And in business and everything, when you are in the driving whirlwind to the bottom, no one wins. Mm-hmm. And it's like, profit is not a bad word. Like, you can be profitable. And like we said with business owners, I'm like, we run a business to make money. Mm-hmm. We take your marketing on to make you money. That's as simple as it comes. But it's like, we are getting paid for what we are going to do. We are going to give you a top tier service and a top tier product that is going to make you more money, because of which we all win. And it's like, the content creator space is like, I struggle with it a lot because I have a very business mindset. But there is a time that it's like, start charging those people. Mm-hmm. And then you're going to have the next 5 people that reach out to you, 4 of which are going to say no.
Yeah.
But you get that 5th. Same thing happened when I got into marketing is I bid everything crazy high. But it was like, and I didn't get a lot of the stuff I bid. But the deal I did get, then all of a sudden that person would refer me someone else that already knew my price tag. And then that person would refer me someone else that knew my price tag. And that same time I'm bidding out 5 more deals, 4 of which are telling me no.
And say that you were bidding those 5 deals for that lower price point versus bidding them for the higher price point and you get 1 of them. You're getting the same amount of money, but doing 1 account's worth of work to where it's much more scalable than staying at that smaller level.
And that's, if you went to LA, if you went to those areas, influencers there are getting paid because they're all charging it. You come to the Midwest, everyone is doing everything in the content and space right now is hobbies.
Yeah, it's all, well, they're like $15 gift card. It's like, yay.
Yeah.
Like,
And I've had people like reach out to us like, oh, you want to come do photos? Like we'd be a good account for you to have. I'm like, no. I was like, we have a portfolio. Like we have the horsepower behind us, what we need to move forward. And it's like, same with you. Like you have those analytics, you have what you've done for businesses. And I think that's where a lot of times people in the creative space, in the social media realm, struggle showing that value because the Midwest is way behind in the social media space as a whole. That from the marketing position, when we sit with clients, we have 1 or 2 forefronts we're going down. We either have the forefront that they know social media is what they need to go after. Now they're just trying to find the best fit for it. Or they don't even know social media is like where they need to be at to where we're trying to sell them on the value of social media because we run Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, Google My Business, like the whole top elite group in the digital footprint, we run them all. To where it's like when you go after somebody with that, we have the value to get it. And then it's like somebody comes out of left field that's trying to do it for $200 and they're like, I don't even know how to like log in and build an account on there. And it's like, that's what you're getting.
Yeah.
So it is a difficult threshold to break into, but it's like, I would just recommend just start bidding them out and then you might not get them all and then just bop around and do it the things you want to do.
yeah.
And I'll take on stuff all the time. If it's something that we want to do, I have no worry of what the money side is.
That's how if I get something that I'm like, that's really freaking cool. And if they're just having me out there, then I'm there for it. It's just like kind of sometimes it's just like I feel it out and then it's just I did something for like a coffee shop in Smithville, and one of the coffee shop owners, so nice. She when I got there, she's like,
"What's it called?"
It's the Sunshine trailer, coffee trailer. Wow. So I got there and she was like, I just want to let you know, you are way undercharging. I'm going to pay you more and I want you to bump up your prices. And I'm like, thank you. That was actually very nice. And she's like, you sent me your analytics because she's like, I'm just curious. I want to see it. So I sent it before I even did anything for them. And she's like, those are impressive. Charge more.
I tell people that all the time. Like in the influencer space, you have way too much value to be charging what you are. Yeah. And like, I don't even know what you charge, but I can already tell you it's too cheap. Like I already know that. Like if you have the following that you have, you shouldn't have to have another job. And that's in the marketing space. The value, we just had a podcast, 4 weeks ago on influencer marketing, that it is something that there's a huge space for it. And like, we've even talked about getting into it where like we have like a brokerage for influencers into companies that we work with because we already have the value built with them. We already have them sold on the fact of using social media marketing to where it's really easy when we sit there and we've already launched everything for them. We're already getting the traction. They're getting the business. They trust us on the money side. To where then we say, hey, this person's X amount of dollars. They're like, yeah, go for it. So it's like, there's a huge space coming for that. And I feel like a lot of, at least from one of my buddies I talked to, a lot of influencers that they've went through that are really big have like agencies that they like broker through that like do their negotiations, do like, because what's that like glass table that has the ball that spins in the sand? I've seen ads on it on TikTok like a million times.
Yeah,
I
I have
have-
no idea.
It's kind of like that drop juice. I've seen the same ads.
So it's like I saw this like, oh, that's really cool. It's like $3,000, but it's like a coffee table and it's all glass on the top and it has a magnetic ball in the sand that like infinite, like it always is going,
Making patterns.
making patterns back and forth. So my buddy, his friend, he owns and operates a company out of Miami, and maybe that's why I'm served those Miami things. But
Keep saying it. Say it
Yeah.
a couple more times.
my phone will probably pick it up. That's why it's hitting me with it. But one of his buddies was doing influencer deal, and that company paid him like $50,000 to do one video on that deal with like, and he runs everything on his iPhone, and it was like in his,
Insane.
they sent him a free table, video, and everything, and a $50,000 check. So I was like, what? I'm like, but it's just, there's the value there.
Yeah.
And have you ever thought about getting into like any product side?
Yeah, I definitely want to expand more. So we just, so I'm really like grateful. My family, my like parents are like really supportive, and my dad will be like doing research, sending me articles on just like the whole influencer creator space.
I feel like I really want to meet your dad because I feel like he's like super invested in like everything that's happening.
Yeah.
A couple weeks ago, he came over to my apartment. He's like, all right, we're setting this up as a true business. We're opening the bank account. We're doing it all. And we sat down right there and just like did it. He's like, it's time to go. I think if anything, he wants to just come work for me. He's like, you need to get this going so I can quit my job.
There you go. Make him do all the negotiations for you.
And I think that's really just in the content space where most people fail is they don't know how to negotiate. They don't know the value that they bring. That they don't know what cost per acquisition is on per client. Like when you figure out what that cost per acquisition is, you really start figuring out what a business is making. And that's why there's different price points on different businesses on what they're willing to pay. You have a company car dealerships, for instance, if you sell 25 cars for a car dealership and they're making $2,000 to $3,000 a car, that's $50,000 to $75,000 you brought into that building. They have no problem paying $15,000, $20,000 for that. To where it's like that, those price tags are different. But if you have a sandwich shop and you hit them at $20,000, they're going to be like, you fell off a tree. I'm not paying that. So like you have to know what that cost per acquisition looks like at scale. And that's where I think a lot of the content space and the social media space kind of misses that. And they just try to underbid stuff just for work.
Do you ever feel like, since you obviously always have to be on social media, always filming things, always having that in the front of your thought, like you're always thinking about it, do you ever find yourself like not being in the moment or get upset with yourself in situations like that?
I definitely have had those times. I try, if there's like something, if I'm there for the content, that's when I'm really there. But if I'm just kind of like getting stuff on my own, I really do try to be in the moment, especially if I'm like out with friends. I don't want to feel like I'm seeing everything through the lens of my phone and have to go back. I just kind of try to do things here and there. And I want it to almost be more of like something fun we can look back on like, this is what we did. But I do think I get caught up in when I feel like I always need to be posting, especially if I follow a lot of other people and I'm like, oh my God, especially the like example Prime Day has been going on.
Yes.
And people are just like posting nonstop. And I'm like, I can't do that. I'm at a desk all day.
Yeah.
And, so it's almost like FOMO on that, but then I'll also just get overwhelmed where I'll have days where I'm like, I don't even want to see my phone. Like I'm so tired of almost living through it. And I'll go through phases where I have people asking me to come in and do stuff. And I'm like, I don't want to take anything. I don't want to take anything. I don't want to do it all. I'll be like, can I come in next month? Like,
yeah,
just
for
need a
sure.
break.
So how often do you post?
If in an ideal world, I would love to have something up every day. I try to go every other day, but there are just weeks that are crazy and I'm like, it's going to be a 2 or 3 times. But again, I'd love to be way more consistent than I am. I do like try and at least get 3 stories up every day is the goal minimum.
That was loud, but
That was in sync. Sorry.
But yeah, I would like to post more, but then also I'm also one of those people that overthink where I'm like, I don't want to over post as well,
Right.
where you just kind of oversaturate your own content.
Mm-hmm.
So I want people to be able to catch up and not feel like they're constantly having to be like, oh, I missed that. Because I have people that I follow that I'm like, hold on, I need to get on their account and see what.
Right. Like I have
missed.
10 videos to catch up on because I don't know where this is at.
Yeah. Or I don't want them to miss something that I
Yeah.
really liked because within 3 hours I had already posted the next
Yes.
thing.
Just to post.
Just to post. I don't want, that's my
Yeah.
biggest thing is I don't want to post
Just
to post. I really want there to be value behind it, because if there's no value behind it, people don't care. You're not going to get the engagement.
Right.
Yeah.
So, how far ahead of yourself do you normally stay?
I like to know I like to know like what's coming next week, like what I'm going to plan to post next week. If I had more time and if I didn't have my like full-time job, I would batch content like crazy and have
That's what I was kind of wondering if like that's not something I do, but if I had any idea like thinking about doing it, like I know when we do birthdays at MMG, we do like a whole day in Kansas City of like from one place to another, that I'm sitting there thinking like, if I was doing something like that, I would just have Saturday like planned out, like 2 Saturdays a month. They're just stacked. Like, and granted, events, things like that can't be done like that. But a lot of different things you can do in Kansas City, between restaurants, between different activities, things that you could fill a whole day and then have groves of content to put out. You just have the editing side behind it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's kind of, it's the editing that is more so like I've got my camera roll is scary. How much stuff I have just sitting in there that I am just waiting to like do stuff with. But so I'm always grabbing content. It's just like the editing and what exactly is going to pair with what. Because even when I do like one of my videos kind of series that does well is recent bop arounds, where I go in and I put in like multiple, I try to do 3. My goal is 3 like places, experiences, activities, whatever. And I try to all kind of make them all go together in a sense. So I'll be like, this theme of recent bop arounds is happy hour spots, or are you hungry, Casey? Here's your next brunch places. And it's 3 of those. Or sometimes they're just random. And I'm like, you have to decide what order those random things are going in. Then it might make sense where I had a brunch 2 weeks ago, toss that in there. But then we got drinks, and then it just kind of looks like more of here's your day.
I like it. Did Lauren had quite the intensive list.
I did.
Did you burn through it all?
No, I still have some.
Oh, I didn't know what you had left over there.
I think I don't even know what we're doing on time, but kind of just like, what impact do you hope to have on like the tourist industry in Kansas City? Like, do you think about that, or is it just kind of a step by step, day by day?
Just tell everyone not to come here. Just don't come here. Kansas City sucks. Stay away. We don't need more people here.
Don't buy Chiefs tickets.
Yeah.
Stop running up all the tickets everywhere. They're getting too expensive for us.
I think it's kind of just been day by day. I definitely want to, one thing also kind of with my name is I did want to keep it kind of generic so I could do a lot with it. I thought about going very much like Kansas City themed on it, because a lot of people have handles that are like specifically Kansas City.
Right.
And I'm like, one thing is you're kind of now stuck here and you're kind of stuck doing just that. Or I want to do kind of more travel. I think I do want to show off like the Midwest isn't just lame, and
Right.
the only cool places are like Nashville and all that. And that was one of my reasons for starting. But I definitely want to show off that we have like cool spots, but then I also just want to grow kind of on my own and my own brand, and even do bigger things that are just outside of Kansas City, and specifically outside of like going to a restaurant.
Yeah.
Kind of building on who I am.
Yeah. That's awesome. Do you have anything exciting like coming up, or anything you're looking forward to?
Nothing like currently in the works that I'm like super excited about. I think if anything, it's just continuing to grow. I have my website, but I need to get caught back up on working with that more, because that kind of fell behind. But I definitely just want to keep growing. I've thought about even using my event side more and starting to pull together some events and building on that as well.
Do you feel like you have do you see the same people commenting, like you have your following that you are starting to recognize people that you don't personally know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like even just in the DMs, I will say the people that follow me are awesome, and they'll DM me when they see something that they're like, you need to do something on this, and they'll send it to me, which is awesome. And then I've got people that'll like chime in, like say something like, oh, I hope you had like the Taylor Swift concert. They're like, oh, I hope you had the best time. I know you were really excited about it.
Aww.
And so it's really cool. Just kind of, I feel like I'm building a community.
Yeah, for sure.
Have you thought about doing meetups or merch or anything like that? Or?
Yeah, I definitely have.
I was thinking the merch side in the beginning.
Yeah.
I was like, with the name, I feel like it could be some pretty cool merch.
Sure.
See that?
I had some koozies, and I had so many people be like, is this
like, can I buy
is this
that?
a sneak peek? Is there something coming?
That's awesome. And I feel like, I mean, girls are sucker for some good merch. So I feel like you
I think you have the bop. What was that old bop toy that there was?
Bop it.
a bop it.
I don't know.
Do what? I think that thing with the bop around, like that's like in through the middle of it.
Oh my God.
I was sitting in the beginning. I was like, that'd be a cool like throwback retro style like shirt. And like they're like the oversized tees, and they're all done that way. People would eat it alive, bro.
I think guys would understand that. I don't know if girls would. I think girls would like.
They played the same game, bro. Like you think just we had it?
No, they didn't. Bopping around at Taylor Swift, bopping around at Kenny Chesney, like those type of shirts. Anyway.
I always think of Bop from High School Musical.
High School Musical. Yes.
What'd you say? I'm sorry. I missed
The song Bop to the Top. From High
Yeah,
School Musical.
there you go.
I didn't watch High School Musical, so I don't really know what you guys are talking about. Missed that one.
You missed out.
You were lost.
I was playing the bop game.
You were lost.
My B.
Oh my gosh.
All right. Towards the end of the podcast, do you have any final thoughts? Like, is there, and I feel like everything's evolved really quickly. And I don't think we really went over like the time frame that we know it was like started in COVID and everything, but like when you had that video hit, when was that?
That was the like big hit. I had the account for a while, but the big hit where the account actually took off was March, early April of last year.
Yeah. So I feel like it's something pretty recent. And I feel like when that stuff happens, we talk about it all the time, like how fast like life happens. We see it with business owners that have had zero traction that all of a sudden out of nowhere, they catch all this social media traction and like their business change. They're trying to hire people. They're trying to do all this. It's just so different. So what do you, with where you're at right now, what would you say like probably the coolest part about everything that you've done to this point is?
I think the coolest part, the coolest thing that still now is when I'll have like PR firms or something reach out and they're like, on behalf of like our client or something, like we're having an event and we want you there. Like I just recently had Warner Brothers PR reach out and they want to send me stuff on the Barbie movie, as well as like they have some events and stuff. And I'm like, how did you find my account?
That's pretty legit.
That's really cool.
But I also think that speaks volumes that you take the biggest players in the game nationwide and they're looking at influencer marketing. And then it's like, then you have some small company that has like less than 10 people and they think they figured it out. It's like, oh no, I'm not paying for that. But Warner Brothers is reaching out and they're doing that all over the country. And they see the type of push it can have. I think that would be pretty legit.
Yeah.
The only like really cool high level like national thing we ever got was like a cease and desist from the NFL. I have it framed, but that was about it. Not as cool. Any final thoughts on everything? Social media space as a whole, I feel like you're very integrated with it all.
Yeah, it's changing. And if you're in the space, you gotta stay on your toes, especially when I feel like for some reason, new platforms are dropping like crazy. Some live and some don't.
What is your thought on Threads?
Threads right now, okay, so the thing that I actually really like is that it allowed my following to still be there and you didn't have to completely start over. And
that was cool.
That I really liked because I did hop on the whole like TikTok's Lemonade, which
I did too. And
No.
I didn't know that was a thing.
That was ByteDance's plan if TikTok was banned in the US. They were just going to transition everything over to Lemonade. In my opinion, it's worthless. But
I'll be interested to see how long if people keep sticking with it. But I do like that it's pretty integrated into Instagram.
And everything that Zuckerberg has done is stuck. So
the other thing too is it had like 70 million signups or something. Like,
it was the quickest to pick a number.
It hit 10 million that first night. Like,
I won't lie, I haven't touched Twitter very much since it popped.
I actually haven't opened my Twitter since.
I haven't touched Twitter in like 5 years.
Yeah, I kind of forgot about it for a hot minute.
I re-downloaded it when Elon was supposed to buy it, did buy it. I don't really know what happened with that situation. And then I still haven't done anything with it.
He did buy it.
Yeah,
he did?
He definitely bought it.
He bought it.
But
he lost a lot of money on it.
So the only thing I'm normally on Twitter is like when football games are on and stuff, normally it hits Twitter before it even comes on the TV.
Yes.
So things are happening. You're like, oh, something's about to hit. Like it's in front of DirecTV. So no, I think I actually kind of like Threads. I think it's a pretty cool idea. But old Elon did say he's going to try to come compete with Facebook and
Twitbook and
all that stuff by the end of the year. So
oh my gosh.
we'll see how that goes.
Yes.
But thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Very much enjoyed this. We're all on the social media platforms doing this as professions and making money doing all that. And it's cool what it's turning into. I think the only direction we have on all of it is up. Yeah. And I think you're absolutely killing it right now. So keep doing it.
So if people want to follow you and
I'm always bad about that.
Yeah. Figure out places to go in Kansas City and places to travel. Where do they go?
I'm on every platform at the.bob.around.
Perfect. We'll link everything below.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
I botched that 10 out of 10 times. So we're going to say all those links will be below. And thank you again for coming on. And that's the M3 podcast.
Thanks for listening to the M3 Podcast. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. Want to learn more? Check us out on Instagram at Moss Marketing Group, on Facebook at Moss Marketing 58, or on our website at mossmarketinggroup.com.